Welcome to One Chapter, One Thought. I'm Pastor Chris from Lincroft Bible Church in New Jersey, and every weekday I read one chapter of the New Testament and offer one brief devotional thought. Today's reading is from the book of the Gospel of Mark, chapter 16. When the Sabbath was past, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome bought spices so that they might go and anoint him. And very early on the first day of the week, when the sun had risen, they went to the tomb. And they were saying to one another, "Who will roll away the stone for us from the entrance of the tomb?" And looking up, they saw that the stone had been rolled back. It was very large. And entering the tomb, they saw a young man sitting on the right side, dressed in a white robe, and they were alarmed. And he said to them, "Do not be alarmed. You seek Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He has risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid him. But go, tell his disciples and Peter that he is going before you to Galilee. There you will see him, just as he told you." And they went out and fled from the tomb, for trembling and astonishment had seized them. And they said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid. One thought. We come to the end of the Gospel of Mark, and it closes in a rather surprising and controversial way. You may have noticed that the reading was especially short today, and that's because there's debate whether verses 19 through 20 were originally in the Gospel of Mark or were added later to kind of bring it to a close. Either way, we know for certain that verses 1 through 8 were originally in the text, but that's actually not what makes the ending controversial. It's the response of the women in verse 8. They buy spices to come and anoint Jesus' body. That was a common practice in that day to honor the dead, and they want to get into the tomb, but they're worried that how will the stone be rolled away from the mouth of the tomb? And when they come, it's open, and there's an angel inside. Although he's described as looking as a man, we know it's an angel, and he gives a message to them saying, "Don't be afraid, Jesus is not here, he is risen." And yet their response in verse 8 might be rather shocking to us. It says they went out and fled from the tomb, for trembling and astonishment had seized them, and they said nothing to anyone because they were afraid. And it's a story like this, it's a response like they had, which is why I believe that the Bible is completely true. Because if a mere human being wrote the Bible, you'd imagine that the gospel would end on a triumphant note. Jesus has died, and certainly their hopes were dashed for an earthly king, but then Jesus rises again as he said he would, and so you'd imagine this great and glorious triumph, this confirmation of their faith. Everything is going to be okay. Jesus is alive. Their faith is validated. But no, they get word Jesus is alive. They see an angel. They're terrified. Why exactly they're terrified? I don't think it's really that hard to understand. I mean, they saw an angel, it was a miracle, and they were probably overwhelmed by the news that Jesus is alive, maybe even having some doubts there. But what we see here is that, the Bible is raw, it's real, it's human. And the Bible's not trying to cover anything up. The Bible is not trying to present the disciples in this idealistic picture. No, it's real life. And it goes to show that even faithful disciples can struggle with fear from time to time. Obviously, we see all the disciples eventually restored and strengthened by the risen Christ. But here, there's real struggle, and the Bible doesn't shy away from showing real struggle, especially from those that follow Jesus, which again is why I think the Bible is completely true, because we would not naturally write stories like this. But the disciples, and all disciples, even us today, have periods of fear. So don't be discouraged by your fears, but take them to the risen Christ. He can handle them.